Welcome everybody to both sides of the conversation. I'm your co-host, Rico Hamilton,
And I'm John Henry, co-founder of Both Sides of Conversation.
and tonight we have an amazing show. We have some folks that I've been working with for a very, very, very long time, and they've been doing some amazing stuff. Me and John, we coming up with this concept. Our concept is we want to give folks their roses while they're here to be sure that we can definitely highlight them and all the amazing stuff that we got going on and all the amazing stuff that they have going on. So we're going to start right on out. John, if you had anything before I introduce the first person, go on ahead.
Man, I just want to say, man, I'm just happy to be on here tonight with this brother, man, doing a lot with the black media, writing some great articles, doing some amazing stuff on the net, wrote a great story on us. Just appreciate to be here, man, and just happy to be a part of this brother now, man. We got you. We here.
So I definitely want to just say, JR, that, thank you for all the stuff that you do. A lot of times the information that we provide to our community sometimes isn't told to us, that we appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And I definitely want to let you know that that's the reason why we wanted you on, is to highlight that there is somebody that's out there who is the people's minister of information, because you definitely got a lot of information for us, all the amazing stuff that you do and you've been doing for the last 25 years around organizing, around getting the information out to the community, from Block Report Radio to working with K Pool, being down in LA, all the amazing stuff that you got going on. I genuinely want to thank you. And that's why we said that we want to highlight you as a hidden gem, because you got a lot of stuff going on. And I definitely want you to let the community know, because I know that you do other stuff. Because I know when we was in the center, you know what I mean? Like, you got Tony. Like, you like, I seen you on the phone with Erica Badu. Like it was a lot of stuff that you really, really do. And I don't think a lot of people know. So I definitely want to highlight that stuff that you're doing. Can you tell us what you got going on and all the amazing stuff that you're doing right now?
Right on, man. Well, first off, I just want to thank y'all. I've been watching both sides of the conversation since it came on, and I think y'all are offering a great service to the community, a great, much needed service to the community by giving us a platform to highlight people, highlight our work, as well as to deal with serious issues in the community. Some of the things that I have going on now. Right now, I'm the head of the Black New World Media. Me and my daughter founded a media company. A lot of people know, or that know of me, may know me from the San Francisco Bayview newspaper, which I worked for over a decade and a half. But we had to spin off and do our own independent thing. So me and my oldest daughter, she's 16 years old. Me and her started Black New World Media. Y'all can go to it right now, blacknewworldmedia.com. It's really basically a black voice, much of what I was doing in the Bayview, but even a little bit harder. We're doing it right there on blacknewworldmedia.com. I just recently interviewed Huey Newton's wife, Miss Frederica Newton, and she was talking about the statue that they're building on Ninth and Center, or off of Ninth and Center on Ninth and Mandela. They're gonna have a statue, and then they gonna on Ninth and Center where he was murdered. They're going to create Dr. Huey P. Newton Way. And then right across the street, there's a house that's dedicated to the women of the Black Panther Party, and they're going to paint a mural on it. So I'm helping to fundraise for that. But another level, I got to highlight being a father. I know you a great father, Rico. I definitely be watching. I'll be watching the stuff that you do with your son and your family in general. We talked about it before, but that's what I've been doing. I've been writing. I'm working on a memoir, but I don't know when it's going to come out, dealing with a lot of the traveling that I did with Malcolm Shabazz, who was the grandson of Malcolm X. I was one of his main travel companions between 2012 till he got murdered in 2013. So I'm kind of working on that. I got a COVID 220 book, COVID Rebellions book with Idris Hassan. She used to work at the AAACC in Fillmore, and she's a photographer on the side. So I wrote a number of articles. She donated a number of photography. We put them together and we got like a coffee table book coming out probably like December or January. And then, we rebuilding the San Francisco Black Film Festival. Kali, who was the director, passed away in the middle of the festival, which was a hard hit to the Fillmore community. I was a publicist for the festival for over 8 years, so I'm working with his son to pick up the pieces. But that's just some of what I've been involved in and what I got my hands in right now.
So the last time I seen you, we were at the African American Art and Cultural Complex, and you were doing an event around individuals that have been a part of the freedom movements and that were incarcerated. Can you like attest more to or expound more on that work that you do? Because I was kind of intrigued on a lot of the information that you had around individuals who were free prisoners of war. I mean, not of war, but of political war, right? So like they didn't do a crime, so to say, but they're doing time for just like standing up for the rights of the people. So yeah, can you expound on that?
No doubt. I'm glad that you spoke on that because I think that that's a very important issue, especially as we go into the Kamala Harris years. The Kamala Harris Biden years, where people is, going to be more pro police because she's the police. You know, um, it's important that we look out for people that we really should be admiring, not just because they black, but because they black and they fought for us. People like Mumi Abu Jamal. He would be one of the more famous political prisoners. He's a famous Black Panther journalist. And what we was doing right there in Fillmore at the center was we was writing to political prisoners, letting people know that we were fighting for them, letting people know that we were fighting for them,
I think he froze up. I think he froze up.
I said, people like, am I there?
There you go. You froze up for a second.
I said for people like Matulu Shakur, the stepfather of Tupac Shakur. He's somebody who had a revolutionary way of dealing with holistic healing and curing crack addiction. Now, that's something, people might think that that's way out or whatever, but I mean, us right here on this panel, I'm sure everybody here has been affected by crack cocaine in one way, shape, or form. With us knowing somebody who was addicted to crack cocaine, he had a way that they can use acupuncture, and he knew where the points in the body were that dealt with addiction to free you from the demon of crack. And he was locked up in part because of that, in part also because of liberating funds, because he couldn't get any government funding, and also in part because he liberated Assata Shakur, who was helping take care of police that was killing people, black people in the black community. There's other people, Jalil Muntakim, who's actually a Black Panther that was from Oakland. He was just released October 7th in New York after doing 50 years. And San Francisco would recognize him if anybody followed the San Francisco 8 case, which was in 2007, where they tried to lock up a number of San Francisco Black Panthers and Panthers affiliated with the city. They tried to lock them up for a murder that had happened 35 years before that. But some of those guys were still locked up and they got out. Herman Bell was one, he got out 3 years ago. And Jalil Muntakim actually got out in October. But there's a number of people that's still locked up. There's Ed Poindexter, there's Kamal Siddiqui. Some of y'all know about Assata Shakur, who the Black Panthers and the Black Liberation Army freed, and she's in Cuba. And if you don't know, go get the book, Assata, Assata. She the godmama of Tupac Shakur. But the person that was with her the night that she was arrested, Sundiata Acoli, he's still in jail. And, just to know a little bit about him, even though he was a Black Panther, he also worked on the space program with NASA. So it's not like he was just some dude around the corner who picked up a black leather coat. He was a mathematician who was working on the space program, didn't like how they was doing black people and got busy too. So, I encourage people to look some of these people up on the internet, read people like Mumi Abu Jamal's book. And I mean, especially, I don't care what it is you celebrate. If it is the Christmas season, if it is the Kwanzaa season, if it's the end of the year season, if it's New Year's, whatever it is you celebrate to culminate the year, please let these brothers and sisters know that, it's somebody out here that may not even been alive when they did what they did, but we appreciate them and we salute them because that's so important. And like I said, people was dancing in the street for Kamala, who locked up a large part of our community. But we need to be doing more for the people who put everything on the line for our community in a principled way and wasn't working with the system. So I do work with political prisoners. I'm gonna remain doing work with political prisoners to the day I die, because I feel like, you know, that's potentially us. Y'all sitting here doing both sides of the conversation, which is a beautiful thing. What if they didn't want us to do that and y'all got locked up? It's our responsibility for, as the people who learn from y'all, as well as the people who benefit directly from y'all's actions, either whether we seen the show or didn't see the show. We got to have each other back. And if we don't have each other back, we don't got nothing. So, I try to support. I know Jada and I know Rico, but I'm just meeting the brother John. But it's my job, if I see y'all doing a good thing, to write an article about that, because it works in a circle. On the flip side, Rico, like, we need you on the show so we can make sure our people know what you're doing too. That's how we got to work, and that's why I salute the brothers and sisters down with both sides, and the work that I know that Rico and Jada in particular are doing. Also, I see Derek Toliver, Destiny Muhammad, the work that all those people that I know of do what they do. I salute it, and I just try to play my part in the wheel.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, and it's glad to finally meet. I know I've been eager to reach out to you, and I know we pressed on time with you tonight. But real quick, before Rico asks you, so I just wanted to know, like, your perspective of now the climate of where we at, and what this media push. How do we use this to really engage our people more? And as technology is changing faster and faster, and it's new development, how do we continue to grow and unite? I mean, because like you said, here at both sides of the conversation, that's what we all about, right? We're about lifting our people up. We're about supporting each other in the Black and brown community. We're about educating our people. That's why we came up with the educational Thursdays. And then we have the Sunday conversations, that we're trying to have these real in-depth conversations with people in our community. No BS, both sides, and really unite the people, because that's what it's really all about. So how do we, as you see it, because I know you're real heavy in the media, how do we use these platforms and how do we use these media handles to really galvanize the Black and brown community for progression, to hold political people accountable, because it's going to take that media with along with the allies. But what do you
Well,
see on that?
in terms of the Black community, I think that the Black community, we need to, one of the main two things that we need. One is we need to learn how to debate without emotion. Me and you gotta learn how to disagree without me wanting to hurt you and your family because we don't disagree, or you want to hurt me and my family because we disagree on this subject that we're talking about. Like, we are emotionally invested, and I think that's in part because the Black community hasn't been listened to for centuries. And so we gonna make sure that people hear us. You know what I mean? If I gotta pull out a thing or whatever, that's just how we are brought up. But I think that hurts us when it becomes to community building, because we don't know how to agree to disagree. We don't know how to disagree without being disagreeable. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to butt heads as brothers and walk away as brothers and sisters. And I think that, I think partly what you guys are doing is part of the answer. And then what I'm doing is part of the answer. And I don't mean that on the most positive end with me. For any of y'all that are my Facebook friends, I'm a Facebook troll. I'm like the Black Power Facebook troll. If I feel like somebody getting out of line, I'm real quick to smash, argue. I mean, Rico, one of my friends, people is constantly falling off my friends list, and I'm going hard at them. But part of that is, I feel like on one level, yes, there needs to be a forum that is safe and civil and like both sides of the conversation. But on the other side, man, and like Wu-Tang used to tell us, how your tongue was your sword. Man, you got to be able to pull your sword out and debate. And if you want to get smart, I can get smart too. You want to be uncivilized, I can get uncivilized too, and hang in the same battle we was fighting in and get it. And I think that Black people, I think we have two problems. One, on one level, the only people that want to build, they only can build on the kumbaya level. Everybody got a hug, and some of us ain't used to that. Some of us is used to this more harder in. We got to argue and almost might be a fight. And I mean, when I was working closely with Rico and them debate. And learning how to debate and practicing debating is what we need first and foremost for us to build unity, because I don't believe in building a false unity. I don't even think that we got to all believe the same thing, but I do think I got to know where you at and you got to know where I'm at. And let's be truthful without cutting no corners.
I think he freezing up again.
Hello, hello.
Oh, there you go.
I think you froze up on us for a little while there.
I said, I just think that as Black people, we have to learn how to appreciate difference too. Everything just can't be kumbaya.
Kumbaya, brother. Kumbaya. No, I definitely, hey, thank you so much for coming on. I know you got a flight that you need to attend to and pick up some folks, but whatever we can do to support you, I definitely would love to do something in honor of those folks that's out there, political prisoners that's still incarcerated, and try to do some type of movement around that, especially around these times. I ain't one really too much into the holidays and what they represent as a holiday, but I do love them in terms of uniting people and bringing people together and supporting individuals who are less fortunate or who might be in situations like they are in. So whatever we can do to build on that, and like whatever we can do to create something, get folks to write letters, whatever we can do, like I'm down, and I would love to support that movement. And both sides of the conversation would love to be a part of it.
No
Hey, yeah.
doubt. I definitely will call y'all. Let's do it. And I got a few more minutes. I got about 8 more minutes if y'all
Hey
need it.
Rico, let's definitely get them. We're gonna be talking about prison reform and in a couple of months on the Sunday conversation. Definitely would love to have you come on that, and just we're gonna be talking about some of the issues with this prison reform and things of that nature. So definitely, having that interaction with those type of political prisoners, man, we need to have that input.
And I think it's even more important. I mean, like I said, I think that we're going into a pro-police time where the Black community is starting to be more pro-police, because we think that we're progressing with the election of Kamala Harris, the vice president, where she was the DA, and then she was a district. I mean, she was the district attorney, then the attorney general. I mean, those is police positions. And when people support Kamala Harris, they throwing thousands of Black men in particular under the bus that were wrongfully incarcerated or worked past their sentence. Kamala Harris is famous for talking about not letting people out early because California needed some slave labor to fight these fires, and the fire season was coming out. We can't forget that because she Black. You know what I'm saying? H. Rap Brown, who is actually a political prisoner right now, Imam Jamil Alameen, I love this quote, and I think is very important right now. He says, to be Black is necessary, but it's not sufficient. To be Black is necessary, but it's not sufficient. Meaning, yeah, it's important for us to be a Black community, but we not just because you Black, that's not enough. What is it that you contributing? What is it that you're doing? And if you doing something that's against the masses, just because you Black, that ain't enough. And in my opinion, she an enemy to people. We need to keep our head up, continue to politically educate ourselves. And I mean, a lot of people was on the dumb Trump train, and I'm not a promoter of Trump by any means, but I am saying, I mean, we jumped out of one kettle and jumped in a boiling pot, and we don't know what we're dealing with. I want people to be cognizant before y'all are celebratory. Are we any closer to getting the 94 crime bill repealed, which is Biden's main crime against us? It is 750,000 Black men locked up, according to that, according to the three strikes. Are we any closer to reparations? Are we any closer to letting the brown children out of them cages? And them immigrant people who are running from what American imperialism created in a country, and they want them to have a good life. Are we pushing for that? And if we're not pushing for that in the first 90 days, I don't know what people is doing, man. But I know y'all got other guests. So in signing off, man, both of y'all, I just want to thank y'all again. Thank Jada. Thank everybody who helps put this together. The sister in the back that I was talking to, the secretary. Thank you too, sis. And people want to find my work. It's at blacknewworldmedia.com. blacknewworldmedia.com. But again, thank you again, John and Rico. I appreciate y'all and I support what y'all do. It's almost that time for another article. We gotta heat that back up.
Right.
So
Hey
again,
man,
brother,
thanks. And I'm gonna be sending you a request, man. So when you see me coming, you know it's me.
no doubt, bro. I appreciate y'all.
No problem, man. Thank you for coming on and blessing us. And looking forward to doing some things in the future with you. And just keep the spirit, man. We gotta do what we gotta do and keep pushing. And just thank you and appreciate you coming on and supporting us, brother. We support you as well.
Right on, bro. Y'all inspiration, bro. So keep doing y'all thing.
Right on, man. Right on.
All right, peace.
All right, peace. So hey, that's our guy, JR. JR's been doing some amazing stuff. So, look, we always gonna keep it coming. We always gonna keep it rolling. We always gonna have individuals that's on the ground doing the work. We know as a people, we come in different shapes, colors, sizes, different way of thinking, and a way a person is actually doing the work. That's the way they do the work, right? So I have someone else that I wanted to bring on. He's like a brother from another mother, someone I've been working with for many, many, many moons now. He actually gave me my first opportunity when I was doing the work inside the county jail. Raw talk. Man, I mean, this story is like just so similar to mine, and just because like sometimes we look at it and it goes back to what JR was saying around black is necessary, but is it sufficient or it's not? Is it sufficient? Like sometimes you just gotta look at the work that people are doing and how intentional they are at making sure that they can touch people, communities that's been underserved or marginalized. Um, and this brother, he been helping me and he been supporting me. He's been having my back 100%. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my guy Steve, who's been doing some amazing stuff for this time. So Steve, he done spent 20 years in addiction, as an addict and drugs and in and out of prison. Steve also, he says on his on his bio, I received an incredible gift. I got clean and sober, right? My recovery and transformation started in a pair of handcuffs. So he was actually incarcerated when he started his actual change. After being released from prison in 2010, he earned his master's degree in public administration, public policy, and criminal justice. I ain't gonna go into the whole thing, Steve, because I want you to kind of talk a little bit more about yourself. So someone like him who has spent time in prison, who come from addiction, now he is the interim director of all reentry services in San Francisco, right? So he really doing some big things. So Steve, I love you, bro. Thank you for all the amazing stuff that you do. Thank you for providing opportunity to all the African American providers and understanding that sometimes it takes it takes the people to reach the people. Each one teach one to reach one, and you understand that concept. You understand that model, and I just wanted to highlight you for all the stuff that you got going on, because I know a lot of times folks ask about this and they ask about that, and if I know who doing it and I know they doing some good stuff, and they ain't got to be black, like in my opinion, if you're doing the work and you really supporting folks, I want to bring you on so other people can know about the amazing stuff that you got going on. So I love you for all the stuff that you got going on. John, if you got something, I'm gonna let Steve go right on into what he got.
All I'm gonna say is amazing story. I read the bio. I don't know Steve personally, but I also work in the juvenile jail system, so I know you have to have certain kind of passion, drive, and just like Rico said here, at both sides of the conversation, man. We're about supporting all our people, our allies. Even if, like Rico said, it doesn't matter where you come from, right? It's about, are you aligned with what's right for the people, and also we like to highlight people that's been through the struggles, because we understand in our community too, we are people that like to see action, right? So when we see people go through turmoil, go through the pits of life, go through the ups and downs and can come out and have these type of testimonies. We definitely need this for the community, because a lot of times all we hear is about when people are here. You know, we don't never get to hear the stories of the people who went through the struggle, who've been in the pit, and you know, to climb out of the dirt to come where you at, man. We just proud of you and thanking you. And I'm glad Rico was able to reach out to you and highlight you, man, tonight. So I'm gonna just go ahead and turn it over to you, Steve. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thank you, Rico. It's great to be here tonight and talk about some of the work we're doing in San Francisco. My name is Steve Adami. I am the acting director of the Reentry Division with the San Francisco Adult Probation Department. Personally, I spent the better part of a couple of decades breaking the law, in and out of jail and prison, and just couldn't get it right. My last prison term came after spending 5 years in Delancey Street. So I will never forget sitting in West Block thinking, man, there might be zero hope for somebody like me. If I couldn't get it right after being in Delancey Street, I could be doomed. And I got out of prison in 2010. And at the time, around the middle of 2011, when public safety realignment passed, people were getting off parole and transferring to probation. And I was on parole, I had strikes, I was on high control. So they kept me on parole for 3 years, and I figured I had to do something with my time productive. And so I went back to school, got a master's degree, got off parole. 2014, I got hired by the Adult Probation Department. And I really do hope to get an opportunity tonight to talk about the work we're doing and kind of debunk a lot of the myths that go around, especially in the light of, you know, the current racial climate in America that needs to be addressed. And I'm so nice to hear JR and his passion about the work that continues to need to be done to kind of rectify the issues of equity in San Francisco, throughout the United States. And I feel grateful to be part of that energy. So I get hired in 2014. And I remember, Rico, the first time I met you, I was in a meeting and you were talking. I was like, dude, was this guy in Delancey Street with me? And then you told me that you got clean in choices, and that was my pathway to Delancey Street too. And I feel like our friendship has just been kind of amazing since then. And so I am grateful. I know we have limited time, so I would like to share some slides to just go through the work. And I'm going to put in the chat a link. My number's in there. People can get a hold of me. But I want to talk I want to talk about the reentry work we're doing in San Francisco and the programs we fund that are open to justice involved San Franciscans, and just highlight them. We're just going to go through them really, really quick. So let me just share this screen. So I work for adult probation. I have a really fortunate position to work under Chief Fletcher, who I report to. She is an amazing leader. Rico knows her personally. He's in monthly meetings with her. She's a fantastic leader and a great department head. So my division does three things. We supervise the operations of the Reentry Council and the Community Corrections Partnership. One of my staff is building out a platform of programs and policies specifically designed to improve outcomes for justice-involved women. And the rest of my team, we oversee a bunch of reentry programs. So as a department, we fund 45 reentry programs in the city, 50 treatment beds and 5 detox beds. And you can see at the top of the screen, the word cloud. Those are the people providing the services in San Francisco that we fund. These are the people that are actually doing the work and helping people get better. I think that one of the selling points of our department and our work that is so underspoken is the intentional alignment of internal hiring practices and the people that we enter into contract with to provide services. So of the 45 reentry programs we fund in the city, you can look at all 3 levels. The blue line is executive leadership, so like executive directors. The orange line is program managers, and the gray line is just line staff. But at all 3 levels of the 45 programs we fund, predominantly African-American, predominantly formerly incarcerated, and predominantly women. So these things are not something that are not done intentionally. Internal staff, our demographics are very similar. They represent the clients we serve. We're 30% Black, 26% Latino, 16% white, 12% Asian, I think 5% Filipino. So of the 45 programs, just going to talk briefly about 3 big buckets. So we have a reentry center at 564 6th Street. It is open to any justice-involved San Franciscan. Case management, medication management, employment services. There's a high school on site, outings, groups, classes. A few city partners are also on site. People come in, get enrolled in benefits. And then we're the specialized access point for reentry employment. We are so fortunate here under Chief Fletcher's leadership. We fund 14 housing programs in the city, around 300 plus units. So of the 14, 12 are transitional housing programs. The left side of the screen, you'll see a sign that says hotel. It's in Union Square. We fund 51 units there. There's a picture of a room at the Drake Hotel, which is in the Tenderloin. And then the right-hand side is the program we fund with Westside Community Services. So it's nice to be able to pair case management, residential treatment, and when people leave treatment, transitional housing. Something we created 2 years ago that's been really impactful is the Recovery Pathways Initiative. So any client that completes 90 days of treatment can get up to 2 years of transitional housing with us. There's some pictures of some of the rooms and some Lunapic designs of the buildings. Those are actual buildings of the Drake Hotel, and the bottom left is the Norma Hotel on 23rd and Mission. We fund 4 employment programs. I think the most useful that Rico, you work with a lot, is the third one down, the Interrupt, Predict, and Organize program. It's for any justice-involved adult 18 to 35, and it's really braids together 12 months of case management and subsidized employment with career development, with the ultimate goal of participants becoming full-time city employees. And then at the CASC, we have Goodwill of San Francisco that really does job placement and retention services. And then Citywide has a behavioral health employment program on site at the CASC as well. And then we work with Renaissance out in the Bayview that do a lot of entrepreneurial workshops with us. Briefly, I just want to go through some of the highlights of our services from last year. So we served nearly 3,000 people at our reentry center on 6th Street. Almost 560 people were case managed, and almost 230 people went to residential treatment. Through our housing programs, we reduced homelessness by 48,000 bed nights, which every time somebody was in a bed, that's one night we reduce homelessness. So housing 487 people, we reduced homelessness by 48,000 bed nights, and 113 people moved into permanent or stable housing. Employment-wise, 226 clients got placed in jobs, and we invested $67,000 into our clients to remove barriers to employment. This was the latest thing Chief Fletcher launched, which was, it's really phenomenal to be part of. And you can see the handsome guy in the right-hand corner, Rico. We put together a community advisory board that reports to Chief Fletcher. They're individuals who have all been through the system and kind of risen from the ashes and become leaders in their own communities that really report to Chief Fletcher. They serve as our liaison to the community. They give us input on needs. They advise on different reentry challenges and help us kind of engage in the community. So we've had a few meetings now, and we are in action already. We just created a reentry employment network that one of the people on the board is part of and leading. And then today we launched a drive for coats, food, and sheets and blankets. That was another something that the community advisory board thought we should put out. So we basically launched that today, and we're going to be distributing all this stuff into the community. A couple of years ago, we had a website built inside San Quentin, Getting Out and Staying Out. You can see the link there. And if you have any questions, my number is also in the chat, so you can feel free to look there. That is it for the slides, but I am definitely open for conversations. Like I want to say, like, I am grateful to be here. Like, I realize I am far from brilliant. I'm like an average person that works hard. I have 10 staff. We grind all day, and our goal is to get people out of the system. Like, we are not out there recruiting clients. It would be best if we never had any. Kind of like, I look at this as like the AIDS crisis. Like, if there's nobody else that had AIDS, then people can move on to the next task. Public defender, district attorney, judge, they make a deal, they do something, right? People either go home, they go to prison, or they come to us. Something happens. And you wouldn't get an argument out of me that things need to be retooled. but we get people as a product of that. Our goal is to invest funds into these folks. So our chief invests $15 million into services for clients with the ultimate goal of helping people get a shot like I got, Rico got, and others. And so I feel really fortunate to be part of the team. I think about my life, my record, the harm I've done to people in the community. And, I sit here today changed and just grateful to be part of the energy that's going around.
Yeah, and Steve, like I know, and like I say, like us as individuals who do amazing work, a lot of times we don't like to, toot our own horns because the work that we do, we feel like, in the way that we were taught, especially through Delancey Street and some of these social model programs or these different programs that we go through, we are taught that you only keep what you have by giving it away, right?
Right.
And I definitely want to let you know that you are a genius because you do not rely on your own you don't rely on your own understanding. You reach out to individuals and say, does this make sense? How else can I support? What other resources do we need? How can I tap into this community, that community, to better understand how you're giving amazing services? So I commend you on that. Like, as like people who are in your position, sometimes they feel like I already know, and sometimes that be their downfall. And I think what has, in my opinion, put you over the top, and the reason why I'm even highlighting you is because you look at each individual as an individual, and you
Right.
say, no matter what, I don't know everything. I know a little bit of something, but how do I add my little bit of something with your little bit of something and your little something to create a gumbo that we can feed the community that's going to support them and nourish them to get back to their sanity or the normality that they need for their community. So you are a genius for that, because most of us can't get out of our own buttholes to recognize that there are other needs that are out there other than what we perceive things to be. So when you hit me up and I'll be like, damn, Steve is like Steve, I don't know if you know, but like you're a pretty powerful dude. You're a pretty powerful dude. Like really. And like when you call me and you ask my opinion, like I really, really be like, wow, like I mean, I don't know like what happens, but I feel like, oh man, like one, I'm appreciated. Two, it's like I'm giving like some insight to somebody who like is like somebody like like he's ahead, like in my opinion, like you're ahead. So like I just commend you for that, like that, like that's big to me, like that and with the advisory board, like all the individuals that's on there, like we all come from the same exact thing. Like we come from poverty, we come from marginalized communities, we all have been to prison or been incarcerated at some point in our lives, and you value what we say. And then I know that you value it because you come with a document after and say, oh, you guys said X, Y, and Z, to hold us also accountable for what we have said and what we want in our deliverables also. So I just want to tell this one quick story, John, before you go or go say something. So I remember me and my brother Eli, we started a program called Raw Talk. Now, Raw Talk is a program that went inside the county jails, and we just gave raw talk. Like the conversation was as raw as possible. We didn't want to filter any of the information, and we just did kind of like the same thing that people do in Delancey Street without the cursing, right? Sometimes, but not as much, is where you hold individuals accountable based on their behavior and how they're acting. And it didn't fit. Like it didn't fit with the model that San Francisco and other cities practice. Like most people don't practice that. It's just like, so we're like trying to figure out how we're going to get funding, how we're going to do this stuff. And you and Kelly and I can't even think of her name. Lola. What's her name, Steve?
Lauren.
Yeah, and Lauren like wrapped your hands around us and supported us and said, this is something we don't understand, or you might have understood. I know you did, but they probably didn't. And then you were like, you know what? We're going to support this and make this happen and make this a success. So I know, and I'm thankful forever of you for allowing that to be something that you brought to the CASC that you had inside the Reentry pod, because it was also a part of my evolution and a part of my change. So thank you so much for all that you do for our community. Thank you for all the amazing work that you continue to do. I'm here for you. I always got your back. You know, you like a brother, definitely from another mother.
Thank you, Rico.
I just want to say, man, powerful stuff. I was introduced to the Delancey Street program about maybe 12, 14 years ago. And I had lunch down there at the restaurant on Embarcadero and didn't even know what Delancey Street was. I didn't even know all the workers and the people that were inmates or released from prison. And what a phenomenal job those people did in there as far as serving the food, how they greeted us and treated us. I know some of the programs they've done with moving, helping people, women in domestic violence and things. So what a wonderful program. Just honored to be on here with you, Steve. You know, it's a testimony for you to be here because, you know, you're an inspiration and you might not even, you know, sometimes like Rico said, you know, people that do the work, we don't want to be highlighted, right? Like all the work we do is like, I understand it's uncomfortable, but we definitely have to highlight people like you because what you do is give hope to some people because there is somebody out there who are transitioning and going from, you know, being an addict to sobriety and just to hear some of the criminal past and to see how you elevated and took your life to this point is definitely hope for some people. A lot of times in the community, when people get arrested or they deal with a negative past, you know, they're afraid to step forward because of that past. So I just think the courage that you have sharing your story with the people tonight and the amazing work that you continue to do is a blessing for our community. So I just want to say thank you. And definitely I'm going to ask Rico to reach out to you because in the upcoming months, we are going to have a conversation about addiction, how it affects our community. We'll have a 2-hour conversation. I would love to have you on as a panelist. So definitely we'll be reaching out to you in the future. So that's all I really want to say. Thank you. Keep doing the work you do. Just seeing all of the stuff that's helping these brothers get out of jail. I mean, I know we got some bills that's gonna be coming up, maybe with this legalization of marijuana or taking it off the Schedule 1 that's supposed to, if it happens, release 15 million more inmates. And just to know that people are going to be coming home to get these type of resources and help to get back on their feet is definitely a blessing for the community. So commend you and thank you very much for your services.
Thank you, John. A couple of things. So Rico and I were part of a presentation 2 weeks ago to the Reentry Council. We've been working on this drug thing for a while. You know, I spoke after newly elected DA in LA, George Gascon, about 2 years ago at the Correct. And, you know, he gave this compelling speech about Prop 47, which is fantastic. And I got up there and I was like, you know, you don't need a PhD to walk around San Francisco to realize that drugs are the problem. And if you can't have honest conversations about stuff, it doesn't really help move things forward. So we launched the Recovery Summit 2 years ago. Rico was the host, and to talk about the realities of addiction and some of the solutions. And we had an amazing keynote speaker, Terry Delane. She's the principal of Life Learning Academy on Treasure Island. She's been in Delancey Street 40-something years, got a couple PhDs. And then we had this panel discussion of different treatment modalities. And it was like fireworks, man. It was crazy. But what it did was it ignited us to put together a working group. And we started building a platform of things we thought could really improve outcomes in the city. We worked on it for about 1.5 years. We launched a survey, we got some data, and we finally made the presentation. The Reentry Council supported it unanimously. Now the Board of Supervisors has picked it up, and there's going to be a hearing at some point in December. So Rico will be there presenting as part of the hearing, and I'll invite the rest of you. I would like to take one last opportunity to kind of touch upon where I work, the values of our department, the amazing leadership of our chief. I want to be mindful that there's been in the last, well, a long time, but particularly the last 8 months, incidents in America that have been troubling. People have been shot, people have been killed, and there's a lot of tension. Prior to those, I don't think anybody really looked at probation as like a law enforcement agency. It was just like, yeah, that's somebody who supervises me, but nobody really realizes how we get to this point. And I've been on a lot of conversations lately and some panels and doing some trainings that, as I mentioned earlier, we're not out recruiting people. It would be great if we never got anybody, but the legal system, public defender, district attorney, judge, something happens in court, we get a body, often a broken life that we are tasked with rebuilding. I am not the only person that works in this department in leadership that's been to prison. There's more than just me. It shows the willingness and commitment of Chief Fletcher to invest in staff who are kind of experts that can really connect with the community and build out programs and services for people. We have taken, I hear a lot lately, like, you know, public health or the community. And I say this, if other public systems were the solution and the community was the solution, we wouldn't be here. Justice involved people have been failed by every public system there is. Our chief, as I mentioned earlier, has invested all of our funds, $15 million, into direct services for clients because we don't have the luxury to just send people all over the city to access services. It needs to be executed in real time. I took somebody high up in the Department of Homelessness to our housing programs, and she said to me, "Oh my God, your programs are nicer than ours." We are so committed to the success of our clients that, you know, we don't work by the clock. We work when we work, and we work all day, and we work hard because we believe in people. You know, Mayor Breed gave a great quote in Vanity Fair. I think it was Vanity Fair. And she said that she was tired of white progressives telling Black people what they needed. And I couldn't agree with her more. I'm equally tired of people who've never been to prison, never shot dope, have no idea what it's like to be on probation or parole, to be telling people what they need and who needs to help them. I want to invite anybody who's listening, anybody that you, Rico, or the rest of the folks here, get a hold of me. Let's go show you our programs. If you want to come to a community advisory board meeting, I will invite you personally. But we are so fortunate to have a leader like Chief Fletcher in San Francisco that has an open door policy. Rico talks to her frequently. It's really important in order to move people forward in life and to really create the equity that everybody else talks about that never executes. We, on the other side, we really try our best in real time to execute. And so, again, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be part of this conversation. I do want to come back and talk about drugs. Rico will tell you it's my favorite topic in the entire planet. And, you know, drugs are ruining people on the street. It is not compassionate to let somebody shoot dope, live in a tent, and kill themselves. That is not compassion. Compassion is having an open conversation about the potential that person has, and maybe taking that person to treatment yourself and sitting there when they're afraid to go and showing how much you care about that person. It's one thing for people in the city to talk and allow people to do this damage to themselves. The greatest gift I ever had, and Rico said it in the intro, is, you know, the police saved my life. This last prison term, yeah, people don't like to hear it. It saved my life. It gave my brain a chance to heal so I could actually think, you know, and then I was able to move forward with decisions. So I'm not advocating for jail. I'm not advocating for the justice system. I'm telling my story. And that's what it took for me. And I'm so grateful that I got that opportunity. And I have friends like Rico, and hopefully, John, that you and I can become friends too, because you seem like a really good guy. So, hey, thanks a lot for having me on tonight. And, you know, I'm an open book. You guys can definitely get my phone number in the chat and anything else. And I see that Chief Fletcher is on this show too. I just got Invisalign and it's making my teeth stick together. So anyway, probably shouldn't say that, but I appreciate you guys.
Hey, Chief. So I definitely will be reaching out to you because we would love to have you, and hopefully, because we got a show coming up, possibly with Asha Safai and Matt Haney, and it would possibly be good to do a show with you and Miss Fletcher at some point, and just kind of, you know, maybe we can, you know, have a think tank and kind of map the show out and see how we can bring the information to the community, because this is what the platform is about, is how do we reach out to the community? How do we highlight individuals like you and the people at the CASC, because that's where all the services are. Like, there's tons of services there, and we want the people to get the services so that they can actually can move on and heal and get whatever services that they possibly need in the proper way. So, I'm gonna be reaching out to you. I'm actually gonna text you right after this, because some ideas was popping in my head as you was talking. So
no, it's always great. That's what I used to say, yeah, Rico never answers the phone. And then I start texting you, and then I text you and call you. And I was like, all right, like, even just organizing for the Recovery Summit presentation, I had like I created this group in my phone. I was just like, whatever, we're going to start texting everybody. I was like, they're like, hey man, you're going to start pissing people off because you're texting them, calling them too much. And it's important when you're trying to impact change to
Right.
kind of come together. I really like what JR said. Like, you have to be honest in public forums. People don't have to agree with you. People got different opinions, but it doesn't mean somebody's bad because they think differently than you. Right. And that is kind of our motto as we push forward with these conversations. They're hard conversations to have, but like, my department plays a role in the community, and we really are community led. Like, even the sworn staff that work here, their interactions with clients is fantastic. And when I see them get lumped in with bad stuff that's happened in this country, it actually hurts me, because they're really, really good people. Are there bad apples everywhere in the world? Of course, there's bad doctors, bad lawyers, there's bad everybody. But by and large, people have good values and want to help people. And that's what we're here to do. Chief Fletcher, as I said, is an amazing leader, and our department is fantastic. And I would like to invite anybody to get a hold of me, and let's come see the work we're doing, because we feel that we are the part of the community that's really impacting change and helping people. So again, I'm going on and on. I just want to say thank you, and I appreciate being there. Looking forward to the next time.
No, I'm definitely listening to everything. I'm definitely will be contacting you. I definitely got some ideas that I want to run past you, that hopefully you can get to the chief, or I'll contact both of you and figure out, because I got some amazing ideas for the Western Edition. There's some things coming down the pipeline, so I definitely would love to figure out how can we get these things going. So
thank you, Rico. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I'm hoping we can meet in person soon. This was fantastic.
Oh yeah, thank you. We're gonna be definitely reaching out. Looking forward to doing some stuff with you guys.
All righty. Bye, you guys. Have a good night.
All right. And that's my guy, Steve. So, hey, John, we got some hard hitters on here, man. Like we got some folks that's doing some stuff.
Every week we topping it. Great show up tonight, and I seen the Chief on here. So, Chief, we want to get you on both sides of the conversation. Yeah, we got Matt Haney now. We gotta get you on here. So let's move this thing along. We got some more amazing gems.
So we definitely so now we have now we got a business, right?
And a hidden gem.
And hidden gem. So let me read just a piece of the bio. So Miss Brianna Phillips is a California licensed attorney and recently started her own business boutique virtual law practice, which covers the following areas of law: business, entertainment, copyrights, trademarks, wills, trusts, and personal injury. That's a lot of stuff. And I think like all that stuff right there encompass the stuff that our community sometimes don't want to address, right? Or we afraid to tackle, especially when we get to the will and the trust and all that stuff. Everybody's scared that something gonna happen to Big Mama or Mama, and they don't want to talk about it. It's okay to get emotional. Look, John know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Nobody want to talk about it, but we definitely want to highlight you. Thank you for all the amazing work that you do. Thank you for even bringing this information on the platform so that we can educate our people out there in the community to get them to start thinking about some of the things that we normally don't think about. John, before I turn it over to her, do you have anything?
I just want to say, thank you, Brianna, for coming on. It's definitely a pleasure. I definitely had to get you on as a hidden gem, just because the movement that's going on with the power and amazement of our Black women, the work you're doing, like Rigo talking about, to educate our community. Here at both sides of the conversation, our Educational Thursdays, we have been trying to educate our community, and it's volunteers and people that's taking their professional gains and bring it back to the community. And we just want to thank you. And we know upcoming you're going to be doing some amazing presentations for our community on our Educational Thursdays in the upcoming future here. And like Rico was saying, sometimes the woke gaps in our communities um, continue to spread farther and farther apart because we don't have people like you that can educate us and teach us about wills and trust. And right now there's a big push of entrepreneurs in America, especially in the Black and Brown community, and having someone like you that they can trust and come to find out about the legalization and all the laws and entertainment. We have a lot of young rappers and entertainers and people out here who get in these messed up contracts and they wish they never did. So just a blessing to have you here. Just wanted to thank you and highlight you and support and promote your business. But just wanted to just promote you as a hidden gem because it takes leadership and doing what you're doing is amazing, and the people need to know you here. You're in California, you're in the Sacramento area, and I just want to get your information out there and help and have all these people reach out to you and continue to blow what you're doing up. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Brianna, and let the people know what you have going on.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for having me. Like they said, my name is Brianna Phillips. I'm a licensed attorney in California, and I'm the owner of Ocala Law and Mediation Firm. So it's a boutique law firm and it's virtual. So I know with everything in COVID going on, you'll still be able to have access to me because I run my entire firm virtually. And then also I know that a lot of people that follow both sides of the conversation are in San Francisco. So that might be like an issue with driving back and forth, but that's not a problem because everything is virtually. Like Rico was saying, my law firm does encompass kind of all together, and I'm just going to explain it a little bit just to show you guys how it all fits together. So the theme of my law firm is generational wealth. It especially became relevant during COVID and everyone losing their jobs and all of that. And some people might wonder, like, how is generational wealth when you're talking about wills, trust, business, and everything else? So the main purpose of me starting my law firm was to help business owners because I know that there are a lot of people starting businesses and a lot of minorities starting businesses, but they don't want to go to the bigger lawyers or the non-minority lawyers because they tend to take advantage of people, and then just being available for my community. So business law that I do, it encompasses like properly forming your entity, properly having all the licenses and permits that you need. And along with that, you're going to want to protect your business. So that comes in with your trademarks and your copyrights. Even if you're a musician and you're making beats, you're producing beats, and you think that you just made a great deal because you sold your beat for $1,000, but then someone buys your beat and goes and make millions of dollars on it. You should be getting a cut of that. Don't just sell it for a flat price. Okay, so that all goes into your business. On top of that, you want to put your business and everything you own, all the assets that you have, into a will or a trust. So if something did happen to you, then your heirs or your loved ones will have access to those things and have a little bit more time to grieve when that time does come. And I know a lot of younger people are thinking, hey, it's not going to happen to me, so I'm not going to plan for it. Everybody needs to plan for it. If you're over the age of 18, you need to be planning for your wills and your trusts. Even if you don't own anything, but you may have children, you want to plan for who's going to take guardianship over your children. You want to plan for, let's say you get injured and you don't necessarily pass on, but you're incapacitated. You want to plan for what happens to you when you're unable to act on your own. So just tying all of that in together, just creating that generational wealth, keeping that money in the family, making sure you're not selling your business for a low price or making sure you're not getting all of this liability because your entity wasn't properly formed. And so I just want to make sure that we are protecting everything that we have. And I also do personal injury. I was working for a bigger personal injury firm, and I wanted to continue that service because I felt like at the bigger firm, people were getting taken advantage of a lot as far as the attorney's fees and not really letting people know what's really going to happen at the end of their case, and not letting them know what the value of their case is, because of course every case is different, but it's a good idea to let your clients know, hey, your case might be worth a little less, rather than giving them these big hopes. And at the end, it seems like the attorney is taking all of the money. So I just wanted to create a firm where I am transparent with everybody who is working with me, and kind of make them feel at home, because I know it can be intimidating to go in and especially with all the young people starting business, to go into an older attorney that may be white office, and they're feeling like intimidated because they don't know if they're really communicating with them effectively. So that was what I wanted to talk about on my business. I do a lot of informationals on my Instagram page and my Facebook page. So if you guys want to follow me, it's going to be at Ocala Law, and Ocala is spelled Oakala, and then it's just law, and then the same thing for Facebook. And also my website is also ocalalaw.com. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see everything, because I know that's a little bit of a complicated name. So let me just blow it up for you guys. So that's how you spell everything. Do you guys have any questions for me?
No, I think you covered it pretty good. Definitely, I already have about 10 or 15 people who reached out to me. They want to get their wills and trusts set up, and I told them that you was doing a presentation. So I know a couple of people said they were going to hold off and wait till you do your presentation on our educational Thursdays. But I definitely been sharing your flyers and information in our group, and I will continue to do that. And yeah, if anybody have any questions or can talk about anything with pricing, please reach out to Brianna. She can talk to you and lay everything out to you. Thank you for coming on tonight. I think this is very important for our community. As me and Rico, we've been really trying to push this financial literacy, this financial education, this wealth building. And like you talked about, we want to continue to pass generational wealth so that our younger kids under us get a fair shot, get a head start, so that they can continue to build. So, that's all I really have to say. Thank you, Brianna, for coming on. And Rico, you have anything? You got to unmute.
Of course, I have something. So I would like to have you on the Sunday show, because I want to talk about the law practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I want to talk about it from another lens, because I've dealt with a bunch of people who lost their children to gun violence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the civil rights lawyers come in and they, grandstand all in front of the mics and stuff. And then they come and take 45%, 40% of it hurts just for me to just find out that's what happens. And, these parents get $400,000 and now they left with, a little bit less than $200,000. And that's not enough that'll never be enough, for a life. But I definitely would love to have a conversation around that with a bunch of people who practice law, who practice practical law. That way we can engage in that conversation.
I don't do civil rights law.
I know you don't do civil law, but I think that law is law, and what's practical is what's practical. And I know that you definitely would have and bring a different, diverse thought to it. So, I definitely. We can reach out and we can build on it, because I that's something that's been troubling me, and I definitely would just love to have that conversation with somebody on our Sunday chat around, to me that's robbery. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, and I get it a little bit, because that is how personal injury it is. It's an accident and you're paying a contingency fee. And a lot of the times the attorney ends up with more money than you, the doctor ends up with more money than you, and you're like, hey, well, I was the one that was hurt. And so that's why I also wanted to leave my firm, because I felt like the clients weren't really getting helped out in that area. And actually a couple of other people left. for that same reason, because you're supposed to be a lawyer, you're supposed to be helping people, then why are you taking all of our money? And I know we do work and we have to get paid, but you should at least be trying to like, at least give the client the right direction, or don't give them false hope that they're getting all of this money and then they can decide like clearly whether they should work with you or whether they should go a different route.
Right.
No, exactly. And that's why we happy to have you here, because we want to bring somebody who has morals, ethics, and yes, we understand that there's a cost to do business, and we understand to do paperwork and phone calls and investigation costs money, but definitely we want to make sure that our people are being fairly treated, and making sure that things are equitable for the people. So thank you again for being that Jim that's, try to also, build your brand and build your business and build capacity, but also make sure that you're looking out for the people in their best interest. So definitely thank you.
Okay.
Looking forward to the number of educational series we're gonna try to put together. I'm sure once you start doing them, we'll get more feedback and people gonna be saying, we need this. So hopefully you're available. I know we have some things already chalked in the books. But I think, what you're doing is very important. Me and Rico, we in the realm of a lot of nonprofits, a lot of different small businesses, and like you said, people, logos and information are being stolen, and their stuff's being used in other locations. So definitely having a person like you on board is definitely a jewel for our community people, because we
John,
do
people steal people logos?
everything.
They steal people concepts? They steal people
everything.
ideas?
Pictures and videos, everything.
It's both sides of the conversation in China right now,
Hey, John, that's why I said that.
I know. We can't stop them, it's when you're an innovator, and we thinking people, sometimes, people just like to take the ideas and run with it. But that's why we have you, and you're going to protect the people. And we appreciate you for coming on. And, thank you. And I think a lot of great things is going to come from the collaboration with us and you. And we're going to refer all these people to you. And we're going to, again, support our Black and brown businesses. And this is one way. You have questions. She says she covers personal injury, trademark, wills and trust, entertainment. We have a lot of comedians out here in the Bay Area. We have a lot of artists. We have a lot of poets. Please protect your work. Reach out to Brianna. You heard her right now. She's all about making sure that you're getting the best thing for you. And that's what we need, people like that. And that's why we brought her on here to both sides of the conversation. So thank you again. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when you do some nice presentations.
Yeah, I have one scheduled for December, and then the wills and trusts for January.
All right. So December, be looking out, both sides of the conversation. You guys will be able to see Brianna on one of our educational Thursdays, and also in January. And then we'll see how that goes and see if we could get something else put in the future books. So Thank you very much tonight for being here. We appreciate you. Keep doing what you're doing. Me and Rico are definitely here at both sides of the conversation. We're going to keep passing out your information. Anytime we hear anybody asking for these type of services, Rico, we should actually send her information to Gunna and Stunna, because they rappers and they need to reach out to her. So we already had a couple of rappers on here. So let's make sure we give her information to them, so they have somebody that they can reach out to.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
I definitely will, and I'll be reaching out about some things too. So.
Okay, sounds good.
All
Where
right.
you located at?
I'm in Sacramento area.
Oh, you in the Sac? North Sac?
Yeah. Am I from Sac?
I said, are you in North Sac?
No, I actually am in Roseville area. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, then.
Rico, let's jump on to our next guest here.
All right. We got somebody who's doing some amazing work. I just kind of skimmed through I went through it kind of earlier, and then I went through it just now again. I'm like, wow, like this is like, oh my goodness, we got back to back. Folks that's doing some amazing stuff that just represents Black excellence at its best. You know what I'm saying? So now we have our sister Destiny Muhammad, who, is doing some amazing stuff. She's a composer, a content creator, a producer. She's also worked with the likes of Grammy award-winning Kanye West at his Sunday service. She's worked with, who was that? That's a legend, Alice Coltrane. Oh my goodness. Oh man, like you have so much amazing stuff going on. Like like this is big, and I definitely would love to reach out to you after this. And you know, I'm kind of all over the place after reading this because this is like my thing. Like I dance, you know, and I love music, and I would definitely love to reach out around something that we can do. Most definitely. Um, so I mean, so you definitely do a lot of stuff. You're doing some amazing stuff as it relates to music. I would love to read the whole entire thing to everybody, but like me and John, like our thing is getting the people who's being highlighted to highlight themselves also, because sometimes we don't like to do that. We don't like to talk about ourselves and say we doing some good stuff. So we want folks to practice saying I'm black, I'm excellent, and it's okay to be black and excellent, right? So John, before I turn it over to Destiny, Miss Muhammad, do you have anything?
I just want to say, amazing sister. I heard some of your work, not a lot. Costa definitely wanted to highlight you as a gem. You know, Oakland, love you. The Bay Area, love you. Um, just happy to have you on, man. I mean, this is a blessing. And we just had Brianna on here. She's a musician. There you go. You gotta, if you need a lawyer, there you go. See, it's all the connections are happening. But you know, just excited to hear more about you and what you're doing, and definitely want to just start following you on more platforms. When I'm at a high stress point, I'm always listening to jazz and blues, and I didn't know you was doing a lot of this stuff, and they put me on, and so now I got to get connected. So just want to say thank you, sister, for taking time. I know it's taking the time to get to you, so we just go ahead and turn it over to you, and yeah, just proud of you.
Man, first of all, thank you all for the invitation to come on. I'm thrilled when I got the inbox message in my IG. I was like, oh, well, okay, somebody's been following me and paying attention. So I just want to say thank you, first of all, just for having me on. So my name is Destiny Muhammad. I'm a full-time performing recording artist. And also within that, I'm also a business. And I think most people don't even think of artists as businesses, but it's imperative for us to see our work as businesses so that we can move to other levels. And all of the work we do, as I was sharing, and you had an opportunity to see that, as since COVID has started, I've also had to become a content creator because all of my performances were canceled. All the weddings I had to do, all the concerts I had to do, all that was canceled. So I literally had to learn how to get online and create experiences for people. So I'll give you an example. I was asked to play for a couple of examples. One, since I am online now, I've been doing online tea parties and birthday parties. And as you can see, I've got my setup with my wonderful harp here. And folks literally are excited about that. So I'm contracted to do work virtually, and it's fabulous. The other thing is I had received a residency by a company called Race Karma, and as a part of the residency, I had to learn very quickly how to videotape myself, upload it to YouTube, and talk on a conversation based on a book called I'm calling it The Evolution of the Heart, but it's another book by a Muslim Sufi group that had to deal with the heart and how the heart has illnesses, but the illnesses also have cures. And so I had to create content based on four portions of the chapters. It's a little bit in depth, but I had to learn how to do that in order to maintain a life for myself and my wonderful husband. I have a wonderful husband who is, I can't even tell you. He's the one who's assisted me setting up sound and all of that, and has been for the last 23 years, almost 24 years since we've been married. And so I say all that to say is that when folks look at me, they're seeing an evolution of learning to do things, learning to become things. What you see is you see a Black woman. I'm getting ready to step into my 58th solar return in about a week. And this is what you see, but nobody saw the years of growing up in the hood and the projects. No one saw the years of seeing crack cocaine hit my neighborhood and seeing a whole generation of folks wiped out. You don't see that. But my music, the music I create or that I reimagine, has the juxtaposition of the pain and the sorrow and the joy and the laughter that came from growing up during that time, that came from standing in welfare lines and paying for food with food stamps. Y'all got it kind of sexy now with the EBT card because it's kind of an equalizer. Yeah, yeah. Come on now, y'all know what I'm talking about for real. It's an equalizer. Am I lying?
No, no, you not. But do we? But me and John, we so old. We come from EBT too. I mean, we come from food
Food
stamps too.
stamps.
Man, I remember the brown food stamp dollars, and I used to have to go get. I know all about.
And so most people don't know that, but my work is about telling the stories of myself, of my people, and my music and any music that I reimagine is about that. And I love that she talked about generational wealth because it also the generational evolution. You start at a certain place, but you don't have to stay there. When I came out of the projects and wanted to, I actually, prior to being a musician, I was a barber, and I opened up a barber shop while living in the projects and driving housing authority crazy because the barbershop was 5 blocks up the street from my house. So the spirit of the entrepreneurian is running because shoot, you tired. You need your own money. You want to be standing at a county office for 6, 7 hours. You need to be working. So I took the skills that I had as a barber, having worked around men and I used to call them street corner apothecaries, these dope dealers, and working with people, these geniuses. Some of them didn't make it out of alive. But one of them, I can attest to this. I can see him like it was that yesterday. His name was Arthur. And Arthur, we called him Nook Nook. Arthur went to what we used to call Camp Snoopy. He spent some time because from selling crack. But when he came out with a skill. He had learned how to sew. This boy understood his demographic. He already had his branding in place. We're talking the 80s. I took that information, just borrowing upon it. He went and he started making bomber jackets for other drug dealers and their dogs. That's how he got out of jail. He said, I got a skill and I'm going to monetize it. And he did. I'm so proud of him. He's making bomber jackets, and this boy could sew anything. Those are success stories to me. I take all that and embody those stories for myself to help to move me to the next level. I have been phenomenally blessed where when you asked me about the things that I have happening, Grace Cathedral asked me, they said, you know what, it's time for us to have a new sound at Grace Cathedral for Christmas. They have asked me to curate a concert for them called Soulful Joy. I'm giving them the Black experience of Christmas from my personal perspective. So I've got some gospel singers on board. I got some hard hitting jazz players on board that are going to be playing music from our perspective, some Stevie Wonder and some Donny Hathaway, and we're going to sonically tell the stories of Christmas from our personal perspective. Grace Cathedral, you know, I'm asked to create content for that. I've received a commissioning to write the music about a Black woman who is a quilter here in the Bay Area. And she made 500 quilts that are now, she's an ancestor now, but the quilts are on display. She was a man who saw her quilts, loved her work so much, he got behind her. Her pseudo name was Rosie Lee Tompkins, but her name was Effie Mae Howard. And so I'm invited to and commissioned to write music as an entrepreneur, as a musicpreneur, as an entrepreneurian. And so I take all of the skills that I've had from growing up in the hood, from being a barber, from moving from Southern California to Oakland, and utilizing that to bring prosperity to myself and my husband, and being blessed where even during COVID, that there were grants made available to us, people said, we want to make sure that you're going to survive. So here we come with the birthday parties and the tea parties, and sometimes, maybe playing just a little something, something for folks while they're learning how to move through this period of time, creating new music. The opportunity as a musician is to document this time through music. And for those of you who may remember the 70s during the Vietnam era and the whole experience was happening for Black people, then to me this is like a revisit of that. And so what is my sound going to sound like coming out of COVID? What is the music that I'm creating? What is that? And how can I bless myself, bless my community, prosper myself and prosper my community simultaneously? I'm also a teaching artist. SF Jazz sends me into middle schools in Oakland and San Francisco. Since COVID, they had to shut it down. But my platform is jazz and social justice. And the social justice has pillars are wealth, health, well-beingness, opportunity, and justice. And how does a jazz artist express that through the music? How do we document our experiences? Oakland had a Black jazz label called the Black Jazz Label. And the music they produced was all about social justice. It was only here for 6 years, but we still have folks from that era that are still living here. A man by the name of Calvin Keys. His music was on the label. Doug and Jean Carn, they wrote tons of music that documented the time. What am I going to be saying about this time through my music? So as a musician and as an artist and curator, curating content that's going to be able to last and be a legacy for this time. I invite you all to follow me on Instagram, Destiny Muhammad Music, my website, destinymuhammad.net. Catch me on Facebook at Destiny Muhammad, the Destiny Muhammad Project, and on Twitter, I'm called Sound Sculptress. I also have a platform called Hood, and Hood is an acronym that means honoring our own divinity. And I invite you to honor your own divinity by making sure that you know who your heroes are, not who the world tells you they are. But that's how we honor our own divinity, by first of all honoring our own, honoring ourselves, honoring our community. I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to open it up to questions, or just y'all want to say a little something, something. But I thank you for the invitation to come on.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I mean, that's what this platform is about, is highlighting our people. And, here at both sides of the conversation, we understand part of this mental health topic that everybody's talking about through music. Music also heals our people, the arts, poetry, different things. And, definitely the passion that you have, I could just see it. Um, if you can hang around, definitely after Derek Toliver, we want you to put something out there before you go. You got to lead the people with some kind of tune,
All
give them
right.
something. But thank you for doing the work that you're doing. I heard about the SF jazz thing that's going on with the young people in the school district, and
Yes.
I know COVID did stop a lot of that. And I think it's very important to get our young people involved with other realms of music. Typically in our community, the young kids want to go into the hip hop and R&B, um, and 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 it's almost like country music, blues, and jazz have been lost out in our community. So just appreciate you bringing that to our young people, because it is very touching. Like I said, I'm always listening to some jazz and some blues when I'm trying to relax and just listen to instruments. When I was in middle school, I played the clarinet and the trombone. So, so I understand that music is beautiful. It took me a long time to read it. I haven't did it in so long I couldn't play a note right now.
We have to give our children and ourselves. I actually came to my instrument much older than my contemporaries. And so I invite folks not to bury their dreams or to abandon them based on age. I started playing the harp at 30. And I literally had to start as a child. And so I say, don't abandon it. The opportunities are there, and encourage your children to have an instrument. I think one of the things I don't think I know for a fact that one of the things that we don't recognize is that music itself is a language. And when they took that language out of the school, then our youth found another way to reinvent the language through rap and hip hop. We don't want to abandon that. We want them to have that expression and know that like jazz came from us, and we got to own it.
And I'm glad you said that, because the other day that I was talking to some people about that, and because a lot of people don't understand the hip hop culture, and one of the things was, people always complain that our culture, we were stripped of our language, through the slave trade and all that. And I think you're right that the hip hop and this new it is a form of communication, because with the slang and the different codes that these young people use, it is a form of communication in the industry. So I think that's very powerful to say that that is the new way of communication. Rico, I know you got something,
But we
brother.
definitely need our own platforms so they can't dictate what content that our young people hear, because the content in the wavelength that they're on is a hyphy wavelength that only promotes and dictate violence. So we know that. So I would like to reach out to you about some things that's going on in the Fillmore. I always got to do that, John. I'm sorry, baby. My baby brother, I know I love you too. Black San Francisco, that's what I'm representing.
Yeah.
But I definitely would love to reach out to you, because I have been advocating for a Black space, and like, how do we bring and reimagine what does healing in our community look like? Because healing isn't just a practice that our oppressors has taught us, and the framework that they look at it in. Healing for us is in many ways. Like, healing, just, you can look at every thing that we do, and there's a way, and we and us as Black people, we can find healing in it in some type of way. So I definitely would love to reach out to you and see how we can collaborate on something. I do a bunch of events out there in the community, and I would love to figure out, like, how can we bring you in to help build up on some things out there in the community.
I agree. I will share with you. I don't know if you're familiar with Marcus Shelby. This is like my dude. Marcus Shelby is an incredible bassist, jazz bassist, based in San Francisco. And one of the things he was doing is we were going into the juvenile halls there because he was trying to communicate. Now that you are at what we used to call in LA Camp Snoopy, we got your undivided attention, and allowing, we would have them, all right, throw out a beat for us, or give us something. And he and I, him on upright bass and myself, would allow them to spit, share something with us, tell us what's on your mind. Let's get it off. How can we help you to help yourself? This is not your last spot. This could be an opportunity. This could become a dream academy for you, so you can start dreaming of a better reality for yourself. I I like I said, I come from that.
Definitely, definitely. I mean, yeah. I mean, as this pandemic clear up, I'm doing a lot of work at Juvenile Hall, with the Omega Boys Club and Jack Jackwa, and yeah, we need all of this right now. Our young people, they need, especially coming out this post COVID, just the mental of Zoom and not being able to socialize. Definitely, music will bring people together. And yeah, definitely looking forward to doing some things with you. We're going to definitely reach out to you and figure out how we can connect you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much.
All right, Rico. Our last
So
hit tip for the night. We always have to say the Giants for the end. Man, this brother here, man, go and bring him in, Rico. I mean, we can't even, it ain't enough words to say how uh, this brother Derek Toliver is, man. Oh
hey,
man,
yo,
if I could get to his age and walking the shoes like he walking the shoes, man, I'm all right. That's all I can say.
and Derek, Mr. Tolliver, I don't even like to say Derek. That just seemed awkward.
I'm deep.
But Mr. Tolliver has been doing so much amazing stuff throughout San Francisco, throughout the Greater Bay Area, that a lot of times people say, "Where's the Black men?" And I always got to remind folks that we have Derek Tolliver, who been doing the amazing work, who continues to do amazing work. We got Joe Marshall, who does amazing work, who been doing, what I mean? And I think sometimes things get lost because we don't highlight individuals who's been in the battlefield and who continue to be generals on the field, but then also who educate people like me and John to be the next field generals as we develop and as we grow. I personally, I've heard of you like forever. You know, I don't know you personally, but I've heard of your name like Toliver. And I'm like, I need to meet this Toliver. And then luckily COVID hit and I'm on a men's group with you. And I'm like, man, okay, now I see, now I can hear all of the wisdom that you have. And I'm just thankful that, you know, now I have, you know, that what I can call it. I have someone who has wisdom and someone who can help steer and guide me in a proper direction, because I come from a generation which is, you know, I'm still young, but I come from a generation where my family taught me that you look to your elders for guidance, you respect your elders, you find and you get up under them because they've already walked in the shoes that you're already walking in, right? So I be always telling John like, hey, yo, bro, how are we gonna get Derek to, you know, come support us? I want to hear him. I want to hear what he got to say, because you always, you know, come from a different angle in the way you think. Like, so, you know, I was like, John, we got to do it. And John like, look, he already set for hitting gyms. We just got to figure out what show we need him on. So, you know, it's an honor to honor someone like you who have, you know, been someone who's a backbone of our community, who continues to do the work, who I don't hear always arrogantly boasting about themselves and talking about what they do and all this stuff. Like, you're definitely a humble person and have compassion and empathy for your community, and you want to see your community shine. So I'm forever grateful and forever indebted for all the amazing work that you have done and for the legacy that you are paving for yourself, but then also that you're trying to pave for the community.
Yeah,
Hey, thank you so much, Rico, John, Jada, Asia. I mean, the previous speakers were, I mean, I'm sitting there taking notes, you know, because every last one of them had, you know, just something from the heart and from the head and the mind and the spirit that would move you, you know? So it's like things are getting done. We just have to recognize them. And I'm so grateful that both sides of the conversation allowed me to be just at your gate, listening through the door, okay? Rico, you said something a little bit earlier that really made me think about, you know, what is my purpose? And you know, how you were saying that, you know, you go out and you try to listen to people and get wisdom from elders, et cetera, et cetera. But I think the problem that elders have sometimes is that we don't spend enough time listening to that next generation. So understanding where you need, where can I be a resource to you? I've had my day, you know, I've been very, very blessed and fortunate to do a lot of things for a lot of people. I was one of the founders of YCD back in 1973. You know, I mean, we had a struggle then that, I mean, I could tell you story after story after story. But I also got fired from YCD when I came back from corporate and was serving as an interim executive director, because I didn't want to play the political games and the money under the table. Okay. So I became a pariah in a lot of instances within Bayview Hunters Point, my own community, because I don't play games and I can't be bought. And like Shirley Chisholm used to say, you know, she's unbossed. You know, that was the thing that made Shirley Chisholm so tough. She said she was unbossed. And that's the way and couldn't be bought. Unbossed and unbought. And that's the way I'm gonna die. I live my life like that, I'm gonna die like that. Unbossed and unbought. I may not make as much money as the next person to making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year, but guess what? I sleep at night. I sleep at night. And I say all that to tell young people that you have a decision to make every time an opportunity comes before you. You know, like, see, people say, well, you know, you look at what happened. You watch what happened, you know, or you wonder what happened, you know, because it goes right by you. And I think a part of what I've been able to do in my lifetime is I had a lot of mentors that came back and worked with me. I mean, hey, let me tell you something. I've been in the criminal justice system. on different levels, right? My parents, both of them were in the police department. You know, so I grew up with the police department in the bedroom above me, okay? handing that belt and whipping my ass, okay, when I got out of line, you know? But I also saw those two police officers. My mother was the first Black meter maid in San Francisco's history in 1963. My father joined the police department in 1960. He came from Jefferson, Texas. She came from West Monroe, Louisiana. And they always taught me that you have to do more for others than you do for yourself. But the first thing you have to do is take care of your own business so people can hold you accountable and know that you're responsible, all right? Because if you don't take care of your own business, how are you gonna help somebody take care of theirs, right? Or help them get where they wanna go. So she told me, my mom and my dad, that when they joined that police department, that wasn't the end of the game. They ended up buying businesses on 3rd Street. We lived in Visitation Valley. I grew up, I started my life in Fillmore. And I went to John Muir Kindergarten, John Muir Elementary School.
Fillmore!
Then I went to Anza for 1st grade, okay? And now Wallenberg. And then from Wallenberg, I went to, we lived in 5 spots. We lived on Page Street, we lived on Webster, we lived on Ellis, we moved back to Webster, and then we moved to Golden Gate and to Visadero, okay? So that's how I started my first 5 years. Then we moved to Visitation Valley, and then I went out there and, you know, got immersed in living in the country, really, because that's what it was like. I mean, there were very few Black folks there. I mean, Sunnydale wasn't the Sunnydale you see today. Back then, Sunnydale's lawns was manicured. They had flowers and beds of flowers and mowed lawns and everything. It was beautiful down in Sunnydale. And I remember before they built the Geneva Towers, okay, all those days, right? But what happened for us was that we were our community. And so everybody worked together. Everybody, I mean, the police department, you know how we talk about the police department. Yeah, man, we're 1966 in Hunters Point, we had a riot, okay? Had a big riot. It was an uprising. But guess why it happened? You know, and it's the same reasons it happens today. You know, injustice, okay? My parents were there. My father told me about, he was in a car in Hunters Point, in his uniform, he and his partner, and he was scared to death. And he said what happened is they had to go down the hill and the goddamn tire blew out, and they on the corner of 3rd and a big crowd comes by. They dug down in the police car, just hoping and praying that nobody stopped, right? And went by him. But he said that to say this, at that same time, he had a gas station at 3rd and Gilman. You know where B&J is? Across the street, there used to be a gas station there. My mother and father bought that gas station back in 1964. And they employed African-American males from Hunters Point, from Double Rock, from Sunnydale, you know, all around Bayview, right? And they made a way out of no way for a lot of people that wanted to make extra money working in that gas station, either as a mechanic or a service station. And they didn't call it a gas station, called it a service station because my father was in the service. He said, man, you got to take care of people. He felt like anytime a Black business opened, you had to do 4 times better than a white business in terms of serving your customer. So he said, Black folks ain't used to being served. They're not used to saying, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And so he built that into his way he delivered his service to his community. And he didn't care who you were. If you needed credit, you wrote it down on a piece of paper. And guess what? The women in the community, the mothers, the single mothers, they loved him, okay? And loved my mom because they always allowed them to have an honor system where they could get service without a credit card and just write it on a piece of paper. And at the end of the month, you know what they do? They'd be in there paying that bill off of that gas, okay? Then he bought a ice cream parlor right next door to B&J called Lulu's Sweet Tooth Palace in 1966, 67. And they, again, did the same model, employing young men from the neighborhood to work there. And a lot of those young men are doctors. One of them is a doctor now. Others are, you know, successful in business, and you know, some of them fell on, 1 or 2 of them fell on hard times. But guess what? My parents always believed that it is better to give than to receive. So they did all of that while they were still in the police department. So, you know, back in the day, that was what they believed. They believed, okay, we can moonlight. We got a business in the community, helping our own people, and we're in the police department. My father told me about some of the stuff that happened in the police department. One time he was at Ingleside Station when they blew a sergeant away. They came in and I can't remember who did it. They stormed the police department and shot the man dead. My father was supposed to be on duty that night, and he told me about what that was like, you know. But he also told me about those same police officers arresting a Latino man and beating the living hell out of him. My father had him in custody. He said, no, we got this. My father said, no, I'm booking him. I arrested him. I'm booking him. And, you know, no, we got him. They wanted to get him. And the sergeant overruled my father. They took that man in. My father sent my father out on another assignment. He came back, that whole station was covered with blood. And my father told me about how this affected him, you know, about how he was seeing injustice, you know, within the police department, you know. And so growing up like that, we saw Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. at Cow Palace, you know, things like that. So I learned a lot of that fighting for justice through my parents' experiences and through my own. When I was at Stanford University, you know, I was there, very fortunate for me that the very person who got Barack Obama to run for office in the Senate, and then the professor for Barack and Michelle Obama was a friend of mine at Stanford named Charles Ogletree, Harvard law professor. Then another person, Valrey Jarrett, was the person who got him to run for office, and she came out of Chicago. Okay, and Valrey Jarrett, you know, she was a big time, you know, president, senior advisor to the president, you know, flying on Air Force One and what have you. But she used to help me give parties back in the day at Stanford. So I remember when I first got to Stanford, I started doing parties because I had been successful doing parties in San Francisco. So I wanted to open it up to East Palo Alto, San Jose, you know, make our people have access to this university. So thank goodness I had the opportunity to become BSU chairman. And then as BSU chairman, I opened that thing, before I became BSU chairman, I opened the door wide open and had gospel concerts. I had the Polytechnic Choir. You ever heard of Martha Wash? She was with 2 Tons of Fun, Sylvester. She was out of Polytechnic. She was the lead singer for their gospel choir. I had her down there. And I told people, I tell people now, when we look back 45, 50 years after the fact, I said, you know what? I had Martha Wash singing in the dorm, and y'all didn't even know who she was gonna be. Okay, who she was gonna become. But I did that because I wanted to open up that university. And I served on the board of trustees at Stanford while I was a student. And I dealt with William Hewlett and Peter Haas. William Hewlett from Hewlett Packard. I'm sitting there talking to him like, you know, like you and I talking, right? And so I learned a lot about these corporate, these captains of industry, these rich, powerful people and what they could do and what they wanted to know and learn from a young Black man from San Francisco. And like I said, 1973, that was the same time that we formed YCD, okay, and was working in the community. But guess what? As I was given to Stanford, 1973, I was also lettering in track and field. I was a walk-on. And I became the #7 all-time triple jumper at Stanford. But guess what? It didn't stop me from going back home and helping to coach my team, Woodrow Wilson High School, who in 1973 won the California State Track and Field Championship under Adam Banks. Okay, Coach Adam Banks out of Balboa High School, who came to Wilson as a young upstart from City College of San Francisco, where he ran on a record-setting relay team with O.J. Simpson back in the day, and he was our new track coach. And so when I graduated in 71, I was his first team captain. I decided when I went to Stanford, I was going to come back to my old high school and encourage others to go to Stanford, go to Harvard, go to UC Berkeley, go to City College, go to Chabot College, go to Diablo Valley. I didn't care where you went, but go somewhere. Because I told them, I said, listen, there's, you know, 3 types of education. My mother said there's a formal education, right? Where you learn everything that you can in a school. There's a trade, where you learn how to work with your hands, something they can't take away from you. And she said, the third type of education is most powerful, and that's common sense. She said, if you don't have goddamn common sense, you don't know how to get out of bed in the morning and get out of your own way. She said, so I'm gonna tell you right now, you better have common sense, because I don't care how many degrees you got, you don't have common sense. And so when I went back to school at Woodrow Wilson High School, I'm a legend there, not because of what I did, but because of who I showed people how much I cared. And I tell people that to this day, and I'm a shut up. I said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's really what it's all about. They don't care how much you know, care how many degrees you got, what school you went to. I very seldom talk about Stanford. But what I do talk about is having the faith and the belief that your son there, Rico, he should be able to go to any school he wants to go to, period. Nobody should ever say college ain't for everybody. I'm gonna tell you something. I didn't realize that they had students at Stanford going to Stanford who spent all their time building cars, building planes, building models. They were engineers. I didn't know engineering, that's what nobody told me mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, all this stuff is stuff, like the metal shop, the car, automobile shop, all the other stuff. They had the same, quote unquote, shit at these major universities where people get degrees in engineering. And it's the same thing the brother down the street does when he pulls your car apart, his own car apart, and puts it back together. It's the same thing. It's just that he went to a formal education, took a formal course in formal education and got a degree. All right. So I'm here to say that I want to spend the rest of my life helping to dispel myths that inhibit us. That's why I created STEM to Arts. 38-year career as a 7-time President's Club award-winning sales executive, generating over $100 million for major corporations. I'm a McKesson Corporation, Johnson & Johnson. You look them up in the Fortune 500 and they might be in the top 20, okay? Multi-billion-dollar companies where my voice was heard and I achieved some type of notoriety based on my efforts, but I was only as good as the script I was able to follow. So I modeled what I did after somebody else who had did it before me and was even better. And I always tell people that don't ever think that what you do is unachievable by anyone else. The young man that is sitting on the lap of Rico right now, I could teach him, and I swear to God, I'm telling you the honest goodness truth, in less than 30 minutes, how to train a surgeon to use an advanced electrosurgical device in the operating room and save lives. That's how confident I am. And that's how much I believe in my people. In other words, if I made over $215,000 in 2009 in 9 months. Okay, my best months were going to be October, November, December. And I left that company to go into the corporate world, nonprofits, helping my own people, giving back as interim executive director at YCD. 7.5 months later, I got fired. That Lowe's store that you see down there, that was Eloise Patton's big project. I don't know if you know Eloise Patton, you probably know her or heard of her. She was a YCD and she was working hard to get Home Depot. Home Depot wanted to open up that Lowe's, where that Lowe's is now. That was Home Depot's project. And she worked hard to get community support around it. Well, YCD cut her out and turned the project over, Office of Economic Workforce Development. When I came on board at YCD, they were going to take this grant that they got because Lowe's decided to buy in, and it was a $750,000 grant, and they were going to divide it up amongst many organizations within the community. I convinced them to give us an opportunity, give us a shot. The job under the contract or the grant was to go out and to get the best, most successful local hire program in the history of San Francisco. And I brought DJ Brookter up from Fresno to come in as the project manager over that project, and then sat down with Fatinia Holmes, who worked the community, helping to keep us running with YCD while we was working on this new project. Because if it wasn't for Fatinia, YCD would have collapsed. She's that good, all right? And so I helped to coordinate all that and make sure that Black people got hired at that new Lowe's from day one. And it turns out it was the most successful local hire program in the history of San Francisco at the time. Now, was that me? I already told you 5, 6 different names that made it possible. It wasn't just me. But it took me getting fired a month, 2 months before they opened that place up and not even being mentioned during the grand opening for me to understand how things really go down in San Francisco. Because if you don't play the game, they're gonna cut you out. If you mess with their money, they're gonna cut you out. And that's what I try to tell young people. Don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. That's why a person like me needs to be in this community. I could have moved somewhere else years ago, but I live right here in Bayview Hunters Point. And I'm gonna stay here, right? I work very strongly in Western Addition Fillmore. I'm working on something that's gonna blow people's mind when they hear about it. Okay, it's a major asset, 182 units of senior citizens housing right there. And one of your key people who's on this program, her grandfather founded that business. Jones Memorial Homes, Jones Senior Homes. That was Floyd Pierce, the grandfather of Asia. Okay, I wouldn't be there. I've been there for over 21 years on the board of directors. I wouldn't even be there if it wasn't for Floyd Pierce. That's about a $50 to $70 million asset sitting right in Bayview Hunters Point, controlled by a Black board of directors. Why aren't we working collectively with Rico and John and Jalen and Asia, especially Asia being a legacy, right? So part of what I'm trying to do in the future is look at how we take assets like that and make them more responsive to the community, and not just an asset sitting there idly by when this community is in such need of resources. So that's about all I can talk about at this point in time. You know, I'm open to any questions you got. I'm sorry I talked so long.
No, I mean, man, you know, D, Mr. I'm like Rico. I have to give you the utmost respect. It's always gonna be Mr. Toliver. You know, going through all this stuff, you know, through the whole city, you know, it's just an honor and a privilege. And you know, like Rico said, we have to highlight you because you feel my fire. And you know, even though you come on last night, I mean, you just pumped me up. I can't even sleep, and I felt like you, and I learned a lot. And I reach out to you, and I always listen to you because you have great wisdom. You know, I get emotional because there's not a lot of Black men in our community um, who has the integrity that you have, you know, who have the morals and the values that you have. And people out there that's getting to know you tonight will also, you know, follow you. And this brother right here is powerful. You know, your 3 daughters, the amazing work you put into them, you know, it's just an honor, man. It's a blessing. I don't even have nothing to say, but just, you know, growing up in Bayview, you know, my family, you know, Kim, just, you know, the people, man. And I guess I'm in that same boat. I'll probably never get what I'm going to get because I'm not going to sell my people out. I don't care. I don't care how much it costs, man. That's one thing I learned. I'd rather stand on integrity. A lot of people don't like that, you know what I mean? And I see it now. I don't get invited to all of the meetings. I don't, you know, I don't always get that opportunity, and it's okay. But I'm not gonna let people sell my people out. I'm not gonna let people sell our community out. It's already been too much of it already done. Here at both sides of the conversation, you know, we're about unifying our people, man, and that's why I connected with Rico. A lot of the principles of just not selling our people out. You know, sometimes it's frustrating. It becomes emotional. It becomes draining. But we had to stick together. And you know, seeing you a part of the Black Man Group, Black Man United, um, you know, these meetings, just being able to just sit down and have these conversations with you and just get the historic stories that a lot of times is missing. And that's why it's important to have you key leaders and key elders in the community to share the information with the young people. And that's one thing that I always gave you the highest praise and respect, because you are not one of the elders of the community that's afraid to pass the torch and stand behind the young people and support them. Anytime I've come to you for questions or answers or understanding, you've always given the wisdom and the information to me. And I just appreciate that. And we need more of our elders to follow your lead. And for us to move forward as a community with all of the political changes in this world, a lot of times in our community, me and Rico talk about this all the time. Sometimes our elders just hold on too long, right? And it's not that we want to take the shine from you guys, right? We want to keep the movement going to grow. And to grow, we need that support from our elders. And I just believe in the elders have the wisdom and the young people have the energy. And as I get older, I'm starting to feel that I can do certain things and certain things I can't do no more. So I got to empower my young people under me. And yeah, one of, Age's sons, one of our mentors, and what you told me, and we work with him so that we could give this energy to our young leaders and tell them, hey, your voice is important. Here, we got the game to get you to where you need to go. Now run with it. So I just want to thank you, man. I appreciate all you do. And like Rico said, we want to highlight and give flowers to our people here. We don't need Channel 2 News to come. We don't need Channel 4 to come highlight our people. We want to do it as a community, as an organization, and let you know that you are appreciated, you are valued, we love you, you are a brother, and you are definitely a role model or inspiration for me in my life moving forward on the decisions that I need to make. And you always talking about community, and that's big for us moving forward in this Black and brown community. Is how do we unite and push our communities forward so that we can be around and be here? Because if not, um, people are just going to sell us away, and we're not going to have anything to look after. So I just want to say thank you again, Toliver, man, for everything, and I just appreciate you being available to come on tonight.
Thank
Rico.
you.
And I definitely just want to say thanks again. I do want to just echo what you were saying. There is a lot of things that we see, in our community that's not right. And, I'm one of them warriors that, I've been doing this for a very long time. Even though I'm young, I've been like really, really, really out there in the field for like almost 16 years. And one thing that I always was taught was integrity. Do what's right when nobody's paying attention. So when people are paying attention, you're going to still be doing what's right, right? So I've been taught that my whole entire life. And I get invited to the tables because people know me. Like they know me and they invite me to the table. But a lot of times I'm never chosen when it's time to, go after funds or, things like that, so a lot of my work be voluntarily or, just because I'm a part of the community and I'm embedded in the fabric of it. So, I commend you on always being that person who not going to kill the legacy of what your mother and your father taught you. Because I think sometimes people lose sight of that part of it, and I know during that time, my mama, she's alumni of Balboa High School. So you might know her. So I don't know, but so like I think that a lot of times people they don't understand that when they do certain things, they actually it's not just about them. It's about the legacy that was laid before you. So if I'm not practicing integrity, or I'm teaching my son integrity and I'm teaching him to do what's right, and if he go against that, he's actually tarnishing the fabric that I'm laying down with him. I done gave him 100% silk, 100% cotton, 100% rayon. Now he adding polyester to the quilt that doesn't even match, right? So I just want to thank you for being one of those leaders that that doesn't compromise the people and who stand up for the people. I know this, and me and John have these little side conversations all the time. We know who have and who haven't. It's obvious. Even a fool can see it. Even a baby can see it, because those are the ones that's uplifted, and those are the ones that's a lot of times highlighted, because they will. Not saying that they're not doing good work or they don't do work, but they are compromised because they don't speak up and they don't stand up for what's right, or silent. Their silence represents approval with whatever we know that is wrong. So Thank you so much, Mr. Toliver. Both sides of the conversation love you. We definitely gonna be reaching out because we do want to do a segment with you and some other individuals that's been doing the work for a while and have a conversation with some younger G's like Uncle Stank. Toliver would be good with Uncle Stank to have that conversation with some young folks to figure out like how do we build a collaborative of older men and younger men so that we can start encouraging some of our older men that's in our community that don't want to pass the torch, but support them and slowly handing it over or taking it from them.
Hey, you might have to knock them out.
Right.
But you know what? I just wanted to say in closing, because I think it's really important for people to understand. I observed you, Rico, for many years, and you didn't even know I was looking at you. I was going to London Breed activities when she was trying to run for supervisor, and I saw you hosting things and coordinating things, right? And so I'm not saying this to out anybody, but I'm saying this because it's coming from the soul. That when I saw you at Ronnie Newt's funeral services at the Cultural Center, and I walked up to you, right? And I said something to you. You didn't know who I was. You didn't really know who I was. But I made a point to talk to you and then to call you after that incident, that shooting incident, and ask you if there was any support that I could lend to the situation, because I understood how traumatic that was for everything that you had done to prepare our community for an event like that. I grew up with Ronnie Newt, okay? So, you know, I had the camera that day, and I was taking the pictures and movies in the front row. And so a lot of people, they don't really know who I am. They see me in so many different, for years, I was taking movies and documenting all the stuff that I was going through as I came back to the community, because it's part of the fabric of what we do. You know, in other words, document. So part of what I'm saying to you now is that as y'all begin to plan and go forward, when you get ready to talk about, you know, how do you navigate a corporate situation? You know, because we got people that want to build their own corporations. They don't want to work for somebody else's corporation, but they want to build their own corporation. You can have a person like me come in and talk and begin to tell you about how this works when you have multiple divisions of a corporation operating on a global level or regional level or whatever, or local level, how it works. You know, how products get developed, how marketing gets done, you know, how hiring decisions are made, staffing and all the other stuff, resources, warehouses, you know, facilities. You know, you got John there, facilities expert. He understands what it takes to keep a facility up and running. That heating, ventilation, air conditioning. This is gonna be, John gonna be the most important man in America. Okay, with COVID, because every doggone building in America has to be retrofitted and or rebuilt from the inside out. Okay, so we got part of the solution right here on this conversation right now. So what do we have to do in order to build the next generation of companies that we will produce? Okay, there's a brother, I'm gonna leave you with this. There's a brother in Washington right now, University of Washington, named Gene Woodard. Gene Woodard came out of Double Rock on Nichols Way in Double Rock. Anybody know Nichols Way in Double Rock? That's where Gene grew up. All city football player, Woodrow Wilson High School, went to Portland Junior High School, went to Portland State College and played football there. He is the head of the University of Washington's facilities, custodial. All the custodial staff report to Gene. So all the medical school, the classrooms, everything is all under Gene. Gene was one of the first people in the world to do green cleaning in a major institution and won awards, global awards for it. Now, what would happen if I called Gene and said, Gene, man, I want you to talk to John and Rico, because we're thinking about trying to monetize some of these things that you've already done here and take over. We want to take over Mission Bay. Gene would be on the phone call in 10 seconds talking to y'all, okay? And to tell you what the best practices are, because he's been to South Africa teaching them how to do it. He's from Double Rock, okay? So what I'm telling you is that's what an elder is supposed to do. He's supposed to hook you up with ideas that can help you monetize so that you're not volunteering and having to do something for nothing and never being recognized and pay your true, compensated for your true value. And I'm telling you, you have multi-million, if not multi-billion-dollar ideas sitting on this call right now, this webinar. And I'm not just talking about the brothers, I'm talking about the sisters too. I'm talking about Jada and Asia. Okay? So it's not just, this is just not a man thing. This is a people thing, our people, Black people. I ain't gonna be afraid to say it, Black people. That's what we're trying to do. Uplift the Black race, period. And we gotta stop getting the leftovers.
Man,
so
that's real.
all I can say.
And I definitely want to hit you up on a side note for some stuff that I do got going on in the field mode. John, I'm sorry, I got to keep saying it, but there is some things that's going on that's coming down the pipeline that I think that you would, that you can definitely be very, very useful with your expertise as it relates to corporate America, but then also empowering individuals to be upright, and doing what's right. So I will be calling you tomorrow for sure about this, because this is like really, 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 really serious. What I'm want to talk to you about.
Great, thank you so much, my brothers.
Yes,
and my sisters. Thank you.
Yeah, and definitely, we are definitely blessed here at both sides of the conversation to have Jada, Asia, Costa. I mean, these sisters make this thing happen. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So we definitely thank them and appreciate our Black women, our Latin women that support us. Destiny, as Destiny comes up to play us out, I just want to go ahead and give some PSAs. Me and Rico give our PSAs as Destiny comes up. We want to let everybody know this Thursday on our Educational Thursdays, we will be having a brother out of Sacramento. His name is Justin Ward. He is a civil lawyer. He is going to come on here and teach our people, educate our people with some of the rights and things that we need to know dealing in these work environments. He's going to educate us about the civil law, dealing with different type of work-related things and a lot of law information. So please join us this Thursday. At 6 p.m. we're going to have a powerful lawyer come on here to educate our people. We know the times that we in. People are dealing with different things in these corporations, and it's a lot of change happening in the age discrimination, and he'll be open to ask questions and different things of that nature. So please, this Thursday, if you have time to join us at 6 p.m., we have a brother, Justin Ward. He's an attorney in the Sacramento area. He is going to be talking about civil law, teaching our people, educating us how to protect ourselves, what we need to know, giving you some jewels and some information. So that will be this Thursday. And then this Sunday, we're going to have a phenomenal conversation with our Black military, brown military service people. We are going to be honoring our veterans this Sunday at 2 p.m. on our Sunday conversation. We are going to be reaching out to our military people. We have a couple of phenomenal guests that's going to be coming on. If you are a veteran and you like to be a panelist, please reach out to us. You still have time to be a panelist, because we want to highlight you and salute you for your service. If you are a veteran, please reach out to us at both sides of the conversation at Gmail. This Sunday, you still have an opportunity to be a panelist. This Sunday's conversation is going to be definitely important for me, my family, and all of our servicemen and women out there of color. And it should be a phenomenal conversation to support our people. So before we end tonight, we're going to go ahead and let Destiny take us out with some beautiful music from the soul. She's going to show y'all how she get down and do the thing before we close out. Go on, Sister Destiny, take us out.
Right, that I feel is appropriate to help us keep dreaming a bit. Duplicate these
Hey, that's what I'm talking about. That was beautiful. Yes, that's what we tell our young people every day. They can fly, they can be whatever they want to be. And that was a beautiful way to end this segment. Rico, you got anything to say before we end this?
Yes, I just want to say thank you all for coming out to another segment of Hidden Gems. Me and John's and both sides of the conversation, which includes Aisha and Jada. Our motto is we are going to give our people their roses before they go. So that's what we do. That's what we're about. Thank you for watching another segment, amazing segment with some amazing individuals. Don't forget to tune in on Thursday, 6 p.m. for Educational Thursdays. Then we have Sunday Chat, 2 p.m. Don't forget to tune in and watch both sides of the conversation, a platform that was created to create a conversation, and conversation creates communication, and through communication, we can heal. Thank you, and you guys have an amazing night.
Thank you, guys.